Okay, so we can wait.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, right, and then Jill will be back Wednesday, get Susan's.
Marty.
If you would
He says he's coming.
tell me,
Okay.
Right, yeah,
give me the.
yep, will do, yep.
I don't need that, but we will need that circulated, yeah, with them to sign under I once we do the motion. I mean, I would, but yeah.
How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Barbara? Yeah.
No, that wouldn't need to be for the board.
Just
Thank you.
taking it easy.
I like that,
Grandkids.
I like those activities.
Grandkids were here,
Yeah, it has been.
and it was a week of much activity.
Yeah, so the no activity
So,
weeks are even
not traveling
good, better.
and trying
Yeah.
to transition here
We came on a
in
Saturday,
the office.
Yeah.
left on a Friday.
Making
Friday,
big stuff.
we left like Friday, 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
It
Barb
was
and
a
I
sleep
sat
by,
down,
That's always a little bit of
6
a
o'clock in the
We're there for 2
afternoon.
weeks. I
Because
think
We
we're
both woke up
you
and
know.
looked at each other.
I
Our
hear
respective
ya.
chairs.
I hear
I've
you.
got another corner.
Yep. Yep,
By Sunday, the house is back in order, everything was picked up,
yep.
thrown away.
Well,
put
it's
away.
3 o'clock,
What's that?
folks.
When was
Time
he
to
there?
begin our August session of the
Same here.
Board of Library Trustees, and we are here in downtown Monroeville.
Yes,
Thank
we
you for inviting us.
don't have our quorum yet.
We don't have our quorum yet.
Pretty interesting.
Anything we can do without a quorum?
Not a lot. I'm checking my phone to see.
Marty is coming.
Yes,
And Gloria is not,
Gloria's not coming.
and Paul is on the highway, so.
Paul's on the highway, and
Every night.
do we know if Mr. Curley is on the line yet? No.
I thought I saw his name up there.
Okay.
Your guess is good as mine. Okay,
I know, it wasn't a packet. No, it was a motion.
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, no,
No,
that's,
it wasn't a packet. It was something else.
oh, okay, that's too long. There's only two.
Oh, great.
Can we count them as a quorum?
Yeah.
We can. Yeah, we can.
Because it's not fiscal.
Right. Although Marty was supposed to do the capital projects committee report, so,
Well, I do know he's gonna be here. I spoke with
yeah.
him earlier today.
And he knows it's a Monroeville. I mean, it was pretty clear, but.
We didn't talk about that.
Mere technicality.
So coming in right now. I see.
So I think we're just waiting on.
Marty,
Mr. Seifert is walking in the door.
Connected on
Yeah.
audio and video,
Yes.
but once Kyle's connected, then I'll do a quick sound check, make sure we can hear him and that they can hear us.
Well, it looks like we have a quorum now. Is Kyle on?
Kyle is on. I just don't know if Kyle can hear or see us.
Well, we can't.
I hear Kyle. Cool.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Kyle.
Kyle, can you hear us? Excuse me. Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. I think we're
Okay,
ready.
well, let's start again, and it's 3:02 on August 22nd, and we're here in Monroeville at the Monroeville Library for our Board of Trustees meeting for August. Susan, would you call the roll?
Absolutely. Mr. Eisbart,
Present.
Mr. Williams,
present.
Mr. Pastorick,
Present.
Mr. Seifert,
Present.
Mr. Curley.
Kyle? You're here.
Great. And Mr. Moss and Ms. Shamanoff are absent.
Okay, so we have a quorum, a physical quorum. I'd like a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Pat. And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. No problem. Unless there's objection, I'd like to bundle the minutes of the regular executive capital projects committee and the approval of the claims. A motion then to approve the minutes of the regular session of July 25th, 2024, minutes of the executive session, July 25th, 2024, minutes of capital project committee executive session, July 24th, 2024, and the minutes of approval of claims, August 9th, 2024. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. It passes. Let's move to the financial report. And David, you're up.
Thank you, Ben. Regarding the financial reports, there's no new lines to report. They're all staying within their benchmark and spending, other than the ones that I've mentioned before. The main thing going on right now, of course, is the budget. We will be, actually have a number of items coming up. Actually, after this meeting, we'll have a Finance and Personnel Committee meeting where not only will we be talking about benefits and compensation items, but I'll give a little info on our budget that we are preparing. Most of the reports are in Gateway right now. We are scheduled to meet with the Department of Local Government Finance on Tuesday. Susan and I and Jill will be meeting with them to go over all those forms, all the submission, get the public hearing notice published, which is all on Gateway at this point. So that's chugging along. Just as a reminder, we have the public hearing in September at this meeting, and then October is the passage of the final budget. The one thing that we haven't got scheduled yet, but Susan and I are intending on, is we'll go and meet with City Council again. We are not in a binding review situation. We are staying under the 4% growth quotient. Consequently, we really just like to go there and give them a heads up of what our budget looks like, some of the main initiatives and things like that. That'll probably happen sometime in November. So the only other big news, and again, these are all on your report, is we will be going Tuesday, Susan and I, to the City Council. That is a resolution up to get the appropriation approved for the money that is needed for the roofing solar chiller project that we've been doing this summer.
Now, it's a legislative change this year, correct?
Actually, the change happened in '21, but we've not needed to invoke it up until this point, because unless you go over that 4% growth quotient or whatever, the decision stays here with the Allen County Library Board of Trustees. It's only when we go over that 4% that we have to seek approval budgetarily from the City Council. Obviously, anything with debt, we still go to the County Council on that. So, yeah, and that happened because the legislation where it is saying if it's an appointed board and you're going to go over that 4%, whatever the growth quotient is, the legislation changed. It used to be the County Council, but then the legislation in '21 changed so that it was, if there was an incorporated city within the county, and ours is a county-wide service, obviously, it falls to, and it contains, that city contains the majority of the assessed value, then the City Council becomes the fiscal, what's called the fiscal body for approval of the budget. So that's why we're going to City Council on this one.
And if
So-
the money is not approved, it reverts back to,
It's just, yeah, it's currently in our reserves. It would stay in our reserves. We're just seeking the approval to spend those funds, you know, but it would stay with the library.
I see,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
But, so that'll be happening Tuesday at the City Council meeting, and, you know, but I'd be glad to answer any questions about that or any of the other items that I had on here. I know we've got a long agenda, so I didn't mean to skip through a lot of it, but I wanted to give us time.
Any questions on the financial report? Can I have a motion to accept as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. And we have the claims.
Yep, today's claims, they total $659,000, of which $270,000 is with the solar roofing project, interim billing on that. The next highest is non-print materials for the library material budget. So that was $96,000. So I can bring those around for signature once it's passed.
Any questions on the claims? No? Okay.
All right.
Motion to accept the claims.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. Okay, Marty, you're up.
All right, thank you, Ben. Everyone, I am doing a report for the Capital Projects Committee, and I'm also going to be presenting a motion for the board to consider as well. As I think we all know, we've completed our facility master plan some time ago. We had initially passed a resolution for, I forget the exact dollar amount, but a fair amount for posting of a bond in order to fund the project as a whole. While we've gone through some discussions and talked with our various county council members and also between ourselves, because it's always been a 2 to 3 phase project in any event, the Capital Projects Committee has met and discussed changing this to an appropriation for a more limited amount, use of our own existing funds, and to use those to do the first phase of the countywide library facilities transformation project. We have worked on a plan and a phase plan. Kim and Susan and Dave have been the leaders, as well as other people in the library as well, of course, regarding the various projects to get started on. And with all of that, I'm going to say, Susan or Ben, anything else we need to discuss before, or present to everyone before I
No?
make the motion?
No, you've done it well.
Pat, anything you would like to care to add?
No, I'm good.
All right. So the motion is this. I'm making a motion to authorize the executive director to publish a notice of an additional appropriation public hearing. It's going to be held at our regular September meeting, and which will approve the appropriation of proceeds of the bonds and interest earnings thereon, which bonds will be issued in the original aggregate principal amount not to exceed $37 million, and existing funds of the library in an amount not to exceed $26 million, all of which will be used to fund the first phase of the 2022 countywide library facilities transformation project. That is our motion, and if we care to consider it, then we can talk about next steps after that as well.
Can we have a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? No discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed by nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes with one exception, extension. Okay. Marty, anything else?
The only thing is, we have discussed the planning calendar, depending on what occurs in September meeting regarding the, after the, what are we calling this meeting? The additional appropriation to public hearing, and then the timeline, then move forward and present this to the county council as well, and what we need to do to take those steps. But we'll go over every date here, but that's, we've worked through the process of doing that as well.
Okay. Thank you, Marty. Now we're talking about our commitment to join the Indiana State Library for something.
Yes, thank you, Ben. This is something that we bring to you every year around this time. This is our commitment to join the Indiana State Library Consortium for Public Library Internet Access for funding year July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. This is for us to get a competitive rate for our internet services with other Indiana public libraries. Being a part of the consortium also makes us eligible for E-rate discounts, which over the years has saved us literally millions of dollars.
Sounds Sounds like a good deal.
It is. Happy to answer any questions.
I'm just going to say, we've been doing this for every year I've been on the board. I just wish we could just say it permanently from now on and just be done with it, but
I wish we
understand the
could
law. I know the law requires it. I will move that we make the commitment as stated.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion on our commitment? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Any abstentions? Well, we're now committed.
Wonderful, thank you. I will, and I may ask Elena for some help, because you do have to sign a resolution.
Okay, public comment policy.
Coming back to you, Ben.
Okay, take your time, we're here for a while.
We've got the room all afternoon, right?
Right,
So in your packet is a draft of a new policy for your review and consideration. It may not seem new because it's something we do at every meeting. We have public comments, but we have not codified that into a formal policy. And my colleagues at other Indiana public jurisdictions and libraries do recommend that this is something that we formalize. So I worked with Pete and Ted. I also consulted colleagues across the state to get a draft policy before you. It is based on a new Indiana statute that took effect in July. And the statute, if we do approve this policy tonight, the statute would require that the governing body, the library, notify attendees of any policy regarding public comment by either posting the policy in a visible area at the entrance to the meeting location or by making an announcement of the policy at the meeting before taking public comment. So if this is approved tonight, at future meetings, our plan would be to have this policy posted at each meeting at the door, similar to what we do with our agenda, and to also reference the policy on each month's regular session agenda. So it just gives anyone coming to the meeting who plans to make public comment a rundown of how that process works. The policy, again, it codifies practice that we're already doing. We ask people to sign in during our designated public comment period. They announce their name, and they are given 3 minutes to make their comment. We also have a portion where people can make comments online. So again, this really should mirror our existing practice, but it does codify it into a formal policy. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Where exactly are we going to put this online? Is it just going to be where the agendas are for the
Yes.
meetings, or is it going to be somewhere else on the website, or how do we?
So Pete's recommendation was that we take the pertinent information from the policy and include it on each agenda. So it would be posted as part of the agenda, both online and then at the door.
Okay.
but the practice hasn't changed.
The practice is the
Yeah.
same.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Pat?
Just a comment, I think it's pretty well written, I think it's in pretty plain English and clear what it's trying to say, and it doesn't get too wordy. I think we did a good job there.
Okay.
Thank you, Pete Mallers.
Pete, you want to add anything to the accolades?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the public comment policy.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Jim. Second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Any abstentions? It passes. Let's move on now to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Ben. I'd like to introduce our Monroeville Branch Manager, Chris Wilger.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. He was excited to host us again, and thank you very much for being such an excellent host.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes, he always loves it when people come to beautiful Monroeville.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Actually, several of us on the leadership team were recently here for Monroeville Harvest Days. We were able to ride in the parade with the Monroeville staff, which is always a good time.
Yes. Thank you.
So thank you. I have some big news. I think I sent this out in an email, but would like to announce it in the meeting as well. Congratulations are in order for Financial Services Manager Joel Knoll, who was selected as ACPL's next Chief Financial Officer upon the retirement of Dave Sedestrom. The only sad thing about this announcement is that that means that eventually Dave Sedestrom will have to eventually retire. And we are still talking with Dave about what date that actually would be. We're saying late 2024, possibly early 2025. He's being very gracious with his availability and his schedule. He wants to make sure that Jill is completely trained up before he does step away. Of course, Jill has been working under Dave for the last 20-some-odd years, so she's had a lot of preparation. She will be coming to subsequent board meetings these next few months. We are just really, really thrilled. We also have posted now her position, Financial Services Manager, so we have begun the recruitment to replace Jill as we have this really exciting but also bittersweet transitional period in our Financial Services Department. And thank you to our trustees who are part of our interview process. It was invaluable to have your input on that. I wanted to share some really great news about our Summer Spark program. It ended in the end of July, and system-wide, our registrations were up 16% from last year, which is very impressive. So congratulations to all involved on that. You may have seen in the news this week that our Library Foundation has announced a matching grant program for the fundraising around the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So the foundation will match up to $25,000 for gifts that come in starting this week. We are up to about $40,000 in community contributions. That is outside of the matching grant, and we are looking to get to that $100,000 mark so we can launch the program. So we are moving right along and very enthusiastic and hopeful that we'll be able to start the program in early 2025. This is something else that you probably saw in the news a few weeks ago, but I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about it here. The Three Rivers Ambulance Authority held an award ceremony on July 31st to recognize 3 members of our main library security team for literally saving a patron's life. And those recognized officers were Adrian Duvall, Mike Fisher, and Nick Partaka. Back in May, our librarians notified our security officers that a patron was on the floor face down and breathing irregularly. So our officers administered Narcan, CPR, and used an AED before paramedics arrived. And the paramedics and the ambulance authority said without that intervention, this patron unfortunately would not have made it. But the patron did make it. The patron is coming into the library now. And it's just really a happy ending to a scary situation. So I wanted to acknowledge their tremendous contribution, and also I'll be circulating some congratulation cards for the 3 officers for all of you to sign if you would like.
Okay.
As far as outreach events, it's again been a very busy summer. I mentioned the Monroeville Harvest Parade, and we were at Open Streets last weekend, and we'll be at Taste of the Arts on Saturday. And other really exciting news, and I'm going to have to tease it a little because I can't steal Don Wood's Foundation's thunder altogether. We are having a press conference on Monday at 1 o'clock at our Pontiac branch, where we will be announcing a new vision for our Maker Labs, which we've talked about at our board meetings a few months ago. It's going to include improved spaces and new services at our main library Maker Lab, also some new equipment at our satellite maker spaces, and enhanced programming and services. We have found that this kind of programming at the library has really exploded in all the best ways. We're really grateful for additional support to increase capacity. These are programs on using technology equipment such as 3D printers, laser cutters, Crickets. We are getting full attendance and also people on wait lists. So it's really a program in need of expansion, and we're glad we're getting some additional support. When I say additional support, the Don Wood Foundation has awarded us a very generous grant, and I'm not going to say the amount just yet because I want to save it for the Monday press conference, but it is generous and transformative for us, and we are very, very excited to make that announcement on Monday. And I want to thank Beth Boatwright and her team for taking the leadership in writing the successful grant application. And finally, not on your written report, but I have a visual aid here. September is National Library Card Sign-Up Month, and you may remember that earlier in the year we began our first series of limited edition library cards featuring murals by local artists. Well, our latest limited edition library card that will be available starting September 7th at the Tin Caps game is Johnny Tin Cap on a library card. So we'll be unveiling these at the Tin Caps game. We'll be signing up people for library cards there, and then these will be at all of our branches while supplies last. So thank you for the Tin Caps for allowing us to use Johnny and to have the partnership. It looks like a baseball card.
Perfect.
Thank you, Susan. Any other good news? Or not so good news? Yeah, well,
We covered it all.
Sounds like a great news day, thank you. Are there any items of new business that should come before the board? Okay, we now are at the public comment phase. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment? Well, seeing and hearing none, we'll move, accept a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. We are adjourned. Now, let me remind you, we have our Finance and Personnel Committee meeting in approximately 4.5 minutes.
Thank you.
Have we ever done a calculation of how many funds other than tax dollars we've raised through